everyone and welcome to UKGN Network's top 5 games of January 2017, I'm Zoidberg. For a while it seemed like this was going to be the worst month for games since we started doing our countdowns, but then suddenly all the good stuff started to arrive. Every game in this top 5 has been released in the 2-week period at the end of the month, making for a very expensive couple of weeks as we tried to play as much as we could. There have been disappointments like Gravity Rush 2, and some welcome re-releases such as Kingdom Hearts, The Flame and the Flood and The Turing Test, all on PS4, but we're here to show you the 5 brand new games that we recommend the most. We're only interested in complete games too, so early access, game preview, alphas and betas are not included.
Number 5.
In order to make a great puzzle game, you need a good, simple to grasp central mechanic, and then don't deviate from it. Throw in some gorgeous hand-drawn graphics as well, and you're left with she-remembered caterpillars. A genuinely pleasant surprise in an otherwise unimaginative genre full of bejeweled clones. The aim is to simply guide your cute, multicoloured characters onto their target squares, and thanks to a well-judged learning curve, it never overwhelms you. More colours and features are introduced slowly, allowing you time to learn their nuances before introducing another. And before you know it, you'll be solving incredibly complex brain teasers without even realising it. At times, we were reminded of Elo Milo, and not many games give you the same relaxed feeling during play, although some of the later levels will seriously tax your brain.
Number 4.
Rise and Shine feels like a throwback to when Xbox Live Arcade was at its peak, where games like Alien Hominid and Shadow Complex turned up on a near monthly basis and offered more hours of gameplay than many full-price releases. It looks fantastic and plays just as well, offering a tough but fair challenge with some brilliant boss battles along the way. At its core, the designers have created a very oddball double act too. Rise is your typical small child with missing father and big destiny, and Shine is, well, a talking gun that grants special powers of infinite lives to anyone who wields him. Put them together and you have an enjoyable and entertaining action platformer, with a few knowing references to other games throughout that always manage to raise a smile. There are even some puzzles that serve to break up the action, and are thankfully not too taxing to prevent your progress.
Number 3.
If you think they don't make them like they used to, then compare Double Dragon 4 with the Power Rangers game that was also released this month. The latter looks great but is a tedious and soulless slog, whereas this is a fantastic fun reminder of a bygone era in both looks and gameplay. Once you get over the disappointment that Arc System Works have used the NES and not arcade version of the original as their template for this 30th anniversary sequel, you'll relax and just be able to enjoy a superb arcade fighting game. As you'd expect, it's best played alongside a friend, but even then it's an unexpectedly difficult game until you master the various moves available. Complete the story and you unlock a sizable roster of playable characters for the Versus mode and the addictive Challenge Tower, where you just have to survive as many waves of enemies as possible. You'll come back to this mode time and again to try and improve your score, which, in the end, will more than justify the asking price on its own.
Number 2.
Sega's Yakuza series has always been a very eccentric and extremely Japanese take on the open world genre, but recent entries have been difficult to get into for anyone who wasn't already a fan. Yakuza 0, as the title suggests, is a prequel and a perfect starting point for newcomers. It features a serious story of honour and betrayal, interspersed with silly karaoke, bowling and mahjong minigames. The blend works surprisingly well, as both serve to give you a break from the other. There are 2 districts to explore, and both are packed with so many interesting side quests and characters that it's very hard to get bored. The hand-to-hand combat is solid and satisfying, while definitely owing a debt to Sega's arcade heritage, even if it lacks the fluidity of Sleeping Dogs at times. Presentation is consistently smooth, but distinctly last gen, although you won't really notice. And let's face it, any game that allows you to play full arcade versions of Outrun, Space Harrier and Super Hang-On is always going to be easy to recommend.
Number 1.
When Capcom opted to reinvent the Resident Evil series before, the result was one of the greatest games ever made. This time, while not quite as spectacular, they've produced easily the scariest entry in the series to date. Thanks to the first-person camera and a focus on horror rather than combat, Resident Evil 7 is a truly terrifying experience. The visuals are astonishingly horrific in the best possible way, as the Baker Mansion is dripping with atmosphere, and you're kept in a state of coiled-up suspense at all times by an equally eerie soundtrack. Add VR into the mix, and you have a game that will scare you to death even when played in the daytime. In the early stages in particular, it feels more like a combination of Outlast and Alien Isolation rather than a Resident Evil game, but the plot soon takes on the series' signature themes. To say more would be a spoiler, so we won't. It's unusual for a big game like this to be released with most of its secrets intact, and the mystery helps to draw you in and keep playing. Well done, Capcom, for keeping things hidden. And that wraps things up for January, and it turned out to be a pretty decent start to the year. If you like our choices or think we got it wrong, let us know in the comments, and we'll be back next month to let you know how February turned out. Thanks for watching.